Hello and welcome to my digital story 4. In this video I will be talking about the ICT, meaning the Instructional Communication Technology, how we acquire literacy skills, the intelligent tutoring systems available, interactive learning environments, learning with a virtual tutor, and then some tools and resources. ICT, or Instructional and Communication Technology, is the use of technology as a means to making learners both skillful in that content area and helping students to remain engaged. The language learning process can include storybook reading, communicative writing, and the use of language games. Multimedia in reading should be available for both basic skills, basic foundational reading skills, and higher level comprehension skills. When working with children to acquire literacy skills, it's important to think about the environment in which the students are learning. Literacy skills are best acquired when the students have the opportunity to learn in an environment that is both stimulating, meaningful, and has a strategic learning process. Students should have the opportunity to explore their own interests. Yes, there's going to be times when they need to work on a specific topic or content area that is not as interesting to them, but when interests can be incorporated in learning, it's important that we do so. Rich, realistic context. The context should be have a level of depth and should be realistic to the student. It shouldn't be just this far out idea. And then communication opportunities, the opportunity for students to talk about and collaborate with their peers, and collaborate with them to discuss what they're learning and discuss their learning process to help better facilitate the acquiring of literacy skills. Intelligent tutoring systems should have two things. One, an agent-based approach, and second, feedback. So first, an agent-based approach. This means that there should be an animation or something that shows gestures and emotions and having interactive dialogues to make it more engaging and for students to better comprehend the learning that's taking place. And then there should be the opportunity for feedback that is direct and explicit. Interactive literacy environments are a way to incorporate a technology into a literacy environment and classroom. One thing that should be visible and clear to the students is the literacy objectives. What is the point of the learning that is taking place? Features of computer applications should be clear to the students. They should know how to use the computer applications or know where to go or where to look if they are unsure how to use the computer applications. Students should know the literacy processes, and there should be an availability for assessments. Students should be able to reconstruct storylines and have an opportunity for collaborative work in the interactive literacy environment. When students are learning with a virtual tutor, there are some aspects that are seen that make this a positive learning experience for students. There's interactive books that students can really truly interact with online with the virtual tutor. Foundational reading exercises for students to learn those basic foundational reading skills. A managed learning environment, so it's not a free-for-all for students, but it is managed and students know what is expected of them and what is required during that tutoring session. Assessments should be done. There should be individual study plans. One of the nice things about using a virtual tutor is that it can be individualized. Character animation, which makes it more engaging and more comprehensible for students. Speech recognition, and then an opportunity for face tracking, gaze tracking, and emotion recognition from the virtual tutor software. During my studies this week, I got really interested in how literacy and technology can be intertwined, which led me down a sort of rabbit hole of different tools that are available to teachers and students for the incorporation of technology into the literacy classroom. So One of the resources that I found was Reading Rockets, and they talked about ebooks and e-readers, digital reading instructional programs sort of like iStation, and assistive technology being available. Ediotopia talked about the opportunity to review and record the sessions. That captioning should be available for students to be able to utilize. There should be something that shows student growth. There should be accessibility and the idea of assistive technology available to students. And these technologies in a literacy classroom can help students learn to read through writing. Newhouse Center talked about utilizing reading apps with students, and they went into the idea of ebooks and e-readers as well. A gamified approach to learning, text to speech and speech to text, the use of virtual realities, online discussions, and book clubs, and again, the idea of progress tracking or growth tracking. I had a student that used speech to text a lot. He was in 6th grade, and he had a learning disability in writing. And one of the difficulties was he had a lot of ideas. If we were just brainstorming, he could come up with all sorts of ideas. But when it came time to put his thoughts on paper, he was unable to do so. If he was writing, he could write about 2 to 3 sentences, and that was it. But when he used speech to text, he was able to write a 5-paragraph essay. And so being able to have that accommodation available was so important for the student because he felt really defeated when he was writing, but when he was writing using speech to text, he felt so good about himself, and he had some amazing stories that he could share and write and like come up with. He was very creative, and he did a great job of going back and doing all the editing for grammar and punctuation, but he was able to use speech to text to really show what he knew within writing. I found a lot of resources about using technology in the literacy classroom, so this is a continuation of those tools and resources. The University of Iowa talked about using a project-based approach, using PBL, project-based learning, and they talked about using technology within the PBL classroom. The use of Khan Academy for math, code.org, and utilizing Google Classroom. Within our readings, lexical tools would be open online resources, which could be like Google searches, and then the use of e-dictionaries for vocabulary. And then lexical applications would be tools with some kind of meaning focus. You could use e-vocabulary lists, e-flashcards, and online vocabulary exercises. Thanks for watching my presentation.